The top stories: diplomats say Ethiopia's Green Legacy initiative will have immense contribution to mitigating global climate change. And extreme heat sweeps the world from Europe to the US and Japan. Greetings, D viewers, ladies and gentlemen. This is ETV News with the news. I'm Shifara Olako. Thank you for watching us. Now, Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed has extended his gratitude to Ethiopians who heeded his call to plant 500 million trees in 12 hours on Monday, and as such break the nation's own record set 4 years ago. Referring to citizens' active participation in the mass tree planting campaign, the Premier said that Ethiopians have made and written a green history, congratulating compatriots on the historic achievement. You have decided not to pass on a hostile climate and degraded land to the coming generation. You had flocked to the mountains, fields, and to the ridges before the sun rose and planted over 566 million trees and broke the record, Prime Minister Abiy said. Moving on, the Green Legacy initiative that Ethiopians has been undertaking will make a great contributions to preventing climate change globally. That's according to different ambassadors. The ambassadors pointed out that they will strengthen their support for the Green Legacy initiative Ethiopia has undertaken. And the French ambassador to Ethiopia, the Italian ambassador to Ethiopia, and the Chinese ambassador to Ethiopia have all appreciated Ethiopia's commitment to planting 25 billion trees in the last 4 years under the Green Legacy initiative. Binyam Alamayo has compiled their views as follows.
It's important that any citizen is aware about the climate change, the consequences, and any citizen is aware that he can act against this. So this is a global phenomenon, but any individual can contribute at its level to fight the climate change.
This program, is great. Yeah, the Green Legacy initiative initiated by His Excellency Dr. Abiy. Yeah, I think since it has been started, has made great achievements. In 4 years, we have planted more than 25 billion seedlings. So it is has changed the climate of Ethiopia, and I think make great contribution to the North Africa and the world.
Amazing the efforts that is doing Ethiopia, because this is something not only for this generation but for the next generation. So green legacy is something very important for the country. Green legacy is very important in order to continue, to grow the country in a proper way, and to tackle all the damage that human being did to the to the green.
Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed says Ethiopians must replicate the unity and solidarity demonstrated in the planting of trees to other national affairs. The Premier also calls on the people to nurture and take good care of the trees beyond planting them as part of the Green Legacy Initiative. Shagamataw tells you more.
In the second round Green Legacy campaign, Ethiopia planned to plant over 500 million seedlings in just 12 hours and surpassed its goal. Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed began by planting apple trees on the 17th of July at 6 a.m. in the backyard of the Unity Park. Ahmed's call was heeded and the planting continued until 6 p.m. all over the country. People regardless of age, sex, religion from all walks of life participated in planting over 500 million seedlings that demonstrate the unity of Ethiopians. People left their footprints under the motto "Planting the Future Today" by planting saplings enduring the oppressive cold weather, mostly accompanied by heavy drizzles on Tuesday's Green Legacy campaign. Regional chiefs as well as federal government officials, along with the community in different parts of the country, took part in the campaign. The self-initiated scheme that revealed true manifestation of patriotism breaks any record of planting over 567 million seedlings in just 12 hours and enabled Ethiopians make history.
It's a pleasant day as we plant and collaborate together. The significance of planting trees will be seen in the future in generations. A famous proverb says, "Inherit plants but not blood." Those who inherit blood will leave their children live in misery, while those who inherit plants get food and even shade from the trees. Therefore, I would like to call on you to inherit plants and green areas to your children. I feel proud by what Ethiopians have been doing in the Green Legacy campaign.
Ethiopia became an exemplary to developed countries by planting millions of trees to fight climate change, although the nation contributes the least to global warming. Students, women, government officials, the disabled among others, part in planting over 500 million seedlings in just 12 hours, and around 300 to 1,000 hectares of land were able to covered in plants. The mobilization of people to plant millions of seedlings demonstrates Ethiopians do not compromise in other national affairs despite their differences. In addition, it reveals if Ethiopians work hand in glove, they can fulfill anything they want, as unity is strength. Therefore, the unity shown in the campaign needs to be replicated in other national affairs as well. It's also the responsibility of the people to nurture and take care of trees to harvest the benefit beyond planting.
The Ethiopian Minister of Mines, Habtamu Tagany, along with the State Minister for Water and Energy, is taking part in the UK-Africa Ministerial Roadshow 2023 in London. Speaking at the ministerial knowledge session, Minister Habtamu emphasized that Ethiopia is working to put the right infrastructure in place in all sectors of development, according to the Embassy of Ethiopia in London. In this regard, the minister mentioned the need for support from development partners in terms of technology transfer, human capital development, infrastructure development, and financial support. The State Minister for Water and Energy, on his part, noted that Ethiopia has developed a detailed master plan and has taken pragmatic action to further develop the country's energy sector. The Africa Ministerial Tour takes a look at the development of decarbonization in the infrastructure, mining, and energy sectors. Welcome back. Now, President Sahlawork Zewde says collective efforts are critical to minimize the negative impacts of conflict against women in many parts of the world. Attending the 2023 Women Deliver Conference in Rwanda, the president hammered on expanding chances for women in decision-making and meaningful political representation in Africa. Haptamu Ashagre presents the report as follows.
The 2023 Women Deliver Conference held in Kigali hammered out measures to be taken to remove major bottlenecks affecting and dragged women behind in success in the globe. Addressing conference participants, President Sahlawork Zewde said efforts are needed to face the major reasons that affect women left behind in success.
Gender equality and women empowerment, that we cannot stop. It can be slowed, we can have back rolls and so on, but the train is moving. This is what we have to admit and accept. Second, we shouldn't be intimidated by so many things. I can tell you many anecdotes where we are pushed back, but we have to occupy our space by, by any means. This is what we should really be doing.
According to Zewde, women must tighten their belts and fight gender inequality as well as patriarchy. She said women could only make it to top positions as men by using the existing opportunities at every level.
We should really push, as it has been said earlier, to have women in decision-making positions, in political roles, so that they can have a meaningful contribution. That's, I think, is very important. And representation at any decision levels, we have to be very careful in identifying where, you have representation for the sake of representation or representation where you can have a meaningful role. And that's also very important because some of us should not be hiding that part of other women that are looking for that opportunity. But to say that we have to fight, we can fall, we can tumble, but we should not abandon.
Humanitarian support is increasing by 40% due to a host of developments prevailing in the globe. In this regard, Sahlawork underlined that at every conflict in various parts of African countries, women are seriously affected and displaced.
We have many challenges, as many other countries. But what I will pick among others, is the adverse effect of conflict on women. In conflict situation, male are the one who suffer most in terms of death, but women are affected disproportionately. Many of the IDPs, refugee camps that we see are filled with women and kids. And gender-based violence is rampant. Many kids are out of school, and health facilities and so on. So the burden is a lot on women.
Political leaders, activists, prospect individuals, institutional leaders, successful business persons, among others, have attended the 2023 Women Deliver Conference held in Kigali, Rwanda.
An Ethiopian delegation led by Misganu Arga, the State Minister for Foreign Affairs, is participating in the United Nations High-Level Political Forum on Sustainable Development. It is expected on the high-level forum that Ethiopia will present its achievements on sustainable development goals. The United Nations Conference on Sustainable Development, through its outcome on the future we want, established the United Nations High-Level Political Forum on Sustainable Development in 2012. The Ministry of Labor and Skills of Ethiopia and the International Labour Organization ILO have signed a letter of agreement for implementation of a joint work plan. The agreement is said to aim at promoting and advancing skills development in Ethiopia, advancing labor administration and fostering productive employment and better migration governance. The agreement was signed by the Ethiopia's Minister of Labor and Skills Muferiat Kamil and Alexio Musindo, Country Director of the ILO Country Office for Ethiopia, Djibouti, Sudan, South Sudan, and Somalia. During the agreement signing, the Minister Muferiat stated that her country will mark the ILO Ethiopia centenary with an array of activities this year. And now in business, Ethio Telecom, in its annual business performance report of 2022-23, disclosed that it has generated a total of 75.8 billion birr in revenue, having achieved 101% of its target by expanding its revenue sources. Its mobile money business, Telebirr, has 34. The total transaction value of 679.2 billion birr. It is to be recalled that the 129-year-old telecom operator commenced the budget year with the implementation of its 3-year growth strategy, with its set strategic objective and goals that helps it to realize its aspirations to become a leading digital solutions provider in the competitive telecom market in Ethiopia. The company mainly offered customer and institution-centered digital solutions and digital finance services beyond the basic telecom services. The annual business performance report was presented to journalists by Frehiyot Tamru, the CEO of Ethio Telecom. Have a listen to this.
This year indeed marks one of the championing growth. The telecom operator has managed to raise revenue by dint of improving customer satisfaction and network optimization. We have paid forward through the year by introducing new goods and services, not to mention cost-cutting initiatives.
5.8 billion ብር ገቢ ማግኘት ችለናል ማለት ነው።
The report added that during the budget year, the company's total subscribers reached 72 million, achieving 98% of the subscriber base target and an increase of 8% from the previous budget year.
I can assure you that despite the daunting challenges we faced, the company has developed a cost-minimizing strategy, and we are able to save over 6.4 billion birr in this fiscal year. We have had outstanding success in our efforts to transform the country's economy through digitalization. The company was the front-runner in increasing access to telecommunication services, and its growth has become one helping hand to Ethiopia's overall economic growth.
Ugandan and Kenyan finance officials recommend the use of each other's comparative advantage in creating financial integration across the continent. The officials from the Kenyan Security Exchange and the Investment Deposit Protection Fund of Uganda told ETV that by creating one single currency, Africans ought to help each other. Tegustarinsa has the following report.
Still shaking off of the devastating COVID-19 pandemic, the global economy has been immensely challenged, and once again with the Russo-Ukraine war. To make matters worse, inflation has become a global setback to nations across the world, which has a devastating effect on developing and underdeveloped countries massively. In these challenging times, hard currency has become such a common headache for Africans across the continent. Governments are putting in place a number of solutions to tackle this, such as attracting FDI, setting up trade zones, shaping policies into fitting of challenges, and encouraging remittances. But a lot more need to be done. Approached by ETV, Ugandan and Kenyan financial officials stressed that it's better to use each other's comparative advantages in creating financial integration across the continent.
I believe that it's important that we use each other's comparative advantage, not competitive advantage. Comparative advantage in that, why don't we help you build what you're good at, and help us build what we are good at, and then have exchanges. It helps you reduce the length of time to the go-to-market strategy. You're shortening it than taking the prescription of a market, let's say Southeast Asia, which have a very different dynamic, and adopting that here. It will take you 10 years to implement something so simple, which was available in Uganda. So that's what I see the essence of integration.
There are many things we can benefit in integration. If we look at portability of our phone numbers, if I went to Kenya, I'm able to make a call in Nairobi as if I'm in Kampala at the same cost. And this has only happened because there's a harmonization between Kenyan technology, telecom rules, and Uganda's telecom rules. Things to do with investing in the capital markets. A Ugandan investing in Nairobi is considered a local. A Kenyan investing in Uganda is considered a local investor and benefits from the advantages of being a local investor. And so this has been expanded to cover 6 countries.
Reflecting on still lingering issues of single currency Africans ought to introduce, the officials stated that, as it is indeed a wake-up call.
It was a very good wake-up call. And possibly, in the future, we need one common currency. It's happening in Europe. Now we have the euro. The euro is covering almost all the European countries. You don't need to have a different currency. So what there's no, that exposure isn't there. And I think that's important. However, it's a journey. And I think what today you heard about the Africa Exim Bank providing a back end that allows for currency, for exchange of currencies using what they call the PASS system. Now, that's going to be a revolutionary changer.
It is a beginning framework to understand what else do we need to have in place to facilitate these interconnections. And there are also conversations around the East Africa Monetary Union as a long-term project to really harmonize and have a single currency for East Africa. And so these questions are being discussed at the minister level, at the presidential level, and also with the central bank governors leading the way in guiding on the framework that will lead us to one currency.
In creating financial integration across the African countries, summits such as East African Finance Summit can be a platform to share ideas and experiences ETV learned.
We are just officially entering into the Masai Mara National Reserve. Where our camp is the Mara North Conservancy. So it's a conservation area, but it's not technically like the National Reserve. The National Reserve is actually $80 per person per day to get in. So it's very steep. If you're planning a trip to the Mara in Kenya, keep that in mind. And that's something that's usually not included in your camp. We've come across a pride of lions. There's a bunch of them.
That was so cool.
Oh yeah. Wow. We found a cheetah. What a treat. Oh my god.
And finally, moving to continental news, a record heat is forecast around the world, from the United States of America, where tens of millions are battling dangerously high temperatures, to Europe and Japan, and the latest example of the rising threat from global warming. Italy faces weekend predictions of historic highs, with the health ministry issuing a red alert for 16 cities, including Rome. Kazaun Chane has more on that from Al Jazeera.
The thermometer is likely to hit 40 degrees Celsius, 104 Fahrenheit, in Rome by Monday, and even 43 degrees Celsius on Tuesday, smashing the record 40.5 degrees Celsius set in August 2007. Iceland, Sicily and Sardinia could wilt under temperatures as high as 48 degrees Celsius. The European Space Agency warned potentially the hottest temperatures ever recorded in Europe. The Acropolis Athens top tourist attraction closed for a second day straight Saturday during the hottest hours, with 41 degrees Celsius expected as these several parts in the capital. Regions of France, Germany, Spain and Poland are also baking and assuring temperatures. Parts of eastern Japan are also expected to reach 38 to 39 degrees Celsius, with the meteorological agency warning temperatures could hit previous records. Meanwhile, the northern city of Akita saw more rain in half a day than is typical for the national broadcaster NHK reported. The downpours also triggered at least one landslide, forcing 9,000 people to evacuate their homes. Torrential rains described by the meteorological agency as the heaviest rain ever experienced have also hit southern Japan in recent weeks, leaving at least 11 people dead. Relentless monsoon rains have reportedly killed at least 90 people in northern India after burning heat. The Yamuna River, running through the capital, New Delhi, has reached a record high of 685 feet, more than a meter over the flat top sea in 1978, threatening low-lying neighborhoods in a mega city of more than 20 million people. Americans are watching as a powerful heat wave stretches from California to Texas, with airspeak expected this weekend. In Arizona, one of the hardest hit states, residents face a daily endurance marathon against the sun. Hannah Safford, White House climate policy advisor, told Al Jazeera that low-income communities were hardest hit by heat waves.
Well, the viewers, you have been watching ETV News. Now, a quick reminder of the top stories. Diplomats say Ethiopia's Green Legacy Initiative will have immense contribution to mitigating global climate change. And extreme heat sweeps the world, from Europe to the US and Japan. That's all the news there is for now. Thanks a lot for watching us. Bye-bye.